Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Veil Oracle. This is a special presentation. Why you believe you are Keanu Reeves' soulmate. Now, before I get started, I want you to subscribe, hit the like button, or leave me a comment. I have 150 subscribers now, and I want to get to 200 by February 2nd. That's my goal, and I hope I reach it. So please, please, please leave me a comment and hit the like button. But most of all, subscribe, okay? And I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. This is a special presentation for you. So let's get started, okay? Check out my board, everyone. Check out this special board I put together. It's black in the background, very classic, classy. And look who's in the middle there, the handsome Mr. Reeves. Now, this is from Legends of Hollywood magazine. It was a special edition, and it was in the stores back in May of 2023. When I saw it, I said, oh, I gotta get me one before it runs out, and it ran out really fast. But I managed to get one, and it's all about Mr. Reeves inside. I love it. So, I hope some of you got one too, but if you didn't, well, you might have to special order it. Now, today's presentation, okay, is about a very strange but very real phenomenon. Okay, it's called the Overso Phenomenon. And this is not my first rodeo, okay, when it comes to this phenomenon. I'm going to back up a little bit and give you a little history. It was around 2020 or 2021, between those 2 years, where I stumbled upon a group of women on YouTube. And these women all believed that they were the reincarnation of Marilyn Monroe, all of them. And they would argue back and forth. No, I'm the one. I'm the real reincarnated Marilyn Monroe. And you couldn't tell them otherwise, okay? Well, when I told them about this phenomenon, do you think they accepted it and liked it? And no, they were like, most of them were against it. They just couldn't believe it. They were open to listening to me, but they didn't like this whole idea about the Overso phenomenon, which I'm going to talk to you about in a few minutes. And this is what's going to explain why you believe you are Keanu Reeves' soulmate. I do have a book right here called Monroe and the Overso Phenomenon by L.K. West. This is the best book out there right now that talks about this phenomenon. It's very real, although people might not be aware of it or believe it. This book, you should grab it. It's available on Amazon, okay? Doesn't cost much, and you can read it like in 2 hours. So, let me see. Where am I now? Okay, so what is going on right now with this soulmate? Everybody believes they are his soulmate. What is going on, right? I believe all of you are his soulmate. Whoever believes they are his soulmate, you most likely are, especially if you believed it for the last 40 years or 50 years. Okay? Because most of the time people have this knowledge from a young age. Okay? But what we're really dealing with here is what they call the Overso Phenomenon, where multiple souls incarnate on the earth simultaneously from the same soul group. Okay? So most likely all of you are from the same soul group, including Keanu. Keanu is part of that soul group as well. And I'm going to show you a graphic. You can take out your pens and paper. If you want to draw it, I'll put it up on the screen. I'll try to put it on the screen for a few minutes here so you can draw. It's called the soul cosmology. I hope you can see it. Okay. And on the sides, you can see the little soul groups. At the bottom, there's a man or a male figure in like a egg. That's called a soul part or soul body or fragment of the oversoul. Let me take it down for a minute. I'm going to put it back up in a second so you can see it one more time. Here it is. Can you see it? I hope y'all can see it. It's called soul cosmology. Okay, I'm going to remove it. Might be a little difficult to see because it's on my phone. I didn't have time to draw a pretty picture of it for you guys. But anyway, I'm going to break it down to you so you'll understand the parts of it. So on top, you have the source of all things. That's God, all-knowing God. Okay, that's where everything, all the knowledge and wisdom comes from. The source of all that is. And then below it, you have the higher self. And this is where you also find your guides. And when you meditate, you're tapping into what they call the higher self and getting assistance from your guides. Okay, so that's where you'll find your guides. Okay, and maybe the angels and things like that. And then below it is the oversoul. Now, the oversoul coordinates all the activities of the souls. It keeps track of the souls and what they're doing. And below, you'll find the soul parts or the fragments or the soul bodies that have incarnated through this whole soul, oversoul within a soul group. Okay, so a soul group will have up to 1,000 souls. Usually that's how many are in each soul group. There are multiple soul groups, thousands of them, and they can interact with each other or overlap each other, but mainly you work within your own soul group. Okay, let me see here. So let me see. I have something very else. Oh yeah, very important to tell you as well about the soul group. So a soul group is about 1,000 souls, and there is something that I don't think you'll be really happy about, and that's called a hierarchy within the soul group. Okay, so the good news is you are all soulmates of Mr. Keanu Reeves. Okay, and he's like one of the most prominent members or soul parts of this soul group. But the bad news is there's a hierarchy. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. It breaks down into 3 groups. Okay, the primary group is usually made up of 12 souls, and that's like the parents, brothers and sisters, and sometimes like a cousin or a best friend. Then you have the secondary group, which is about 144 souls, and these are friends, co-workers, relatives, just people that you're really close to. And the rest is the 844. I just call them the 844. This is the rest of the soul group, and they're the furthest away from the primary group. Now, in this soul group, primary focus is Keanu. Okay, so his group would be like his sisters and his mom, father, and so on. Maybe his best friends or the band members in his band, people like that. And then the secondary group would be filmmakers that he works with, and so on. And I guess the rest of us are in the 844, okay, group, the furthest away from him, which is why maybe you haven't manifested him yet or met him yet, even though you believe you are his soulmate, and you've probably believed that for the last 30 years or more. Now, the Empress is either in the secondary or the 844 group. And if she is in the secondary group, he might have already crossed paths with her. Okay, they've already crossed paths, so they know each other somehow. But I believe she's in the 844 because if she was in the other groups, they would be together by now, I think. So they're not together. So that means or tells me she's in the 844 group. Okay. I wanted to read something to you from the book. Again, you remember that book I just told you about? Okay, Monroe and the Overso Phenomenon. I wanted to read something to you from the book to give you a little bit better idea of what this is all about. It says an oversoul is one that dives, an oversoul is one that divides or fragments into many souls. It may decide to do this to accomplish its goals through more than one person simultaneously. It does not have to reincarnate one life after another. In addition to goals, the soul can choose this method to work on healing or to ascend to higher levels faster. And it's believed by a lot of people who study reincarnation that, when a soul is murdered or they die young, they reincarnate like within a year or two. So a lot of these ladies who believe they are Marilyn Monroe reincarnated were born like shortly after she died in the early 60s. And some of them are even all the way to the 80s, but they all believe and are convinced that they are her. And you can see some of these videos on YouTube. So what else does it say? Does all people who say they are reincarnated most likely are. I will not argue with anyone who claims to be reincarnated. I believe all human beings have their own intimate understanding of who they are, both in their past lives and in who they are becoming now. The realization and acceptance of one's past life is undoubtedly a deeply personal and profound self-revelation. Now, when it comes to Keanu's soul group, I do believe the same thing is happening, but it's expressing itself differently. We're not really dealing with reincarnation here. We're just dealing with a lot of people within his soul group connecting to him, thinking like him, feeling him, having the same inclinations, the same goals, the same drives, whatever. And there's also a past life component to this, okay? Because usually people in the same soul group will get back together in the same soul group, okay? Life after life after life. Okay, so there is a past life component to this. So if you feel like you've known him in a past life, most likely you have. Okay, and then you all got back together again in the same soul group or a new group, but you share what they call the oversoul and the same higher self. And it's this higher self that you tap into through meditation to get to your guides or your angels, or even to, connect with him. And you're all kind of sharing the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same inclinations, like I said, the same goals and things like that. So you feel him all the time. You feel deep about him. You're really connecting with him on a deeper level. And that is why you are convinced that you are his soulmate. Now, I guess this group is experimenting with this whole phenomenon called the oversoul. I had one person tell me they believe the group is under a spell. Now, that could be the case. Maybe everybody in the soul group is under a spell. I don't really know what the soul contract is in this soul group, okay? But they have decided to experiment with this whole thing. So it's very much the same as the Monroe and the Overso Phenomenon. Now, let me see what else I want to tell you. I think that's it for now. Yeah. So I guess I want to just conclude it with letting you know that, what you feel is real, and don't let anybody tell you that it's not. And hopefully all of you one day will get to meet him. I'm sure some of you already have. I have. I feel I'm a part of this group. I felt like this for a long time myself. I did leave a previous video before this, right, about my experience meeting him at the Dog Store concert in 2023. Um, and I manifested that into my life, and you can manifest that as well. He's out there, he's roaming around, and anybody and everybody in the group can meet him, you know. And so I hope everyone one day does. I hope I meet him again. I already crossed paths with him 3 times. Um, and believe it or not, he has my number, but he hasn't called me. I was too afraid to get his number. I was too afraid to ask him for his number. But I hope one day I'll see him again, and then I'll ask him for his number. But you know, it took a lot of courage even to manifest him, and to even, you know, hang out with him at the concert, you know, Dog Star concert. You know the story, right? If you've listened to my video, I was hanging out with him and this band and these college dudes, and it was like an all-day thing, and I didn't know that was going to happen. So it was like a real surprise, a real treat. It was a great day. Um, yeah, you know, so I believe this is what the situation is, everyone. And so I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And again, I apologize if I slur and all that stuff, or I have these little pauses in between. I'm trying to keep my focus and keep my mind, you know, going straight so that I can hit all the points I want to hit. So please don't forget to subscribe, and leave me some comments on what you think about this phenomenon called the oversoul. Okay, that's it. Take care, and we'll talk again soon.